Yeah, I'll still wait for 2 minutes. Yeah, hello. Hi, students. This is Ritik Sir, your biology SME. Yeah, yes. So today we will be discussing about the major two concepts that is regarding the medical termination of pregnancy, which is actually called as MTP, and another one is sexual transmission infection. So we will have to have a clarity on what is this medical termination of pregnancy and what all the things that comes under this topic, because this MTP and sexual transmission infections topic, so they are very important if you're just concentrating with the neat aspects. Okay, because every year almost one question is very common from this particular topic, almost very common. So they may chances is like 70-30%, like 70% almost, will be asked from this topic. So yeah, the thing is we should not neglect, and I'll be trying to explain you a very important concept, and I'll just try to explain you straight away so that I don't keep on framing some stories and all. I'll just explain you what are very necessary and what you should concentrate while you're reading this particular topic in this chapter. See, when I'm talking about the medical termination of pregnancy, right? So what happens is here either you are intentionally or you're taking volunteer. I mean, voluntarily, you are actually terminating the pregnancy. That is, you're terminating the pregnancy, say like abortion kind of thing. Okay. Indeed, it's like a term. So that's what we call it as medical termination of pregnancy, or indeed a kind of abortion. Like you are actually kind of you're terminating or you're removing unwanted pregnancy, unwanted baby, right? So nearly around 45 to 50 millions of this medical termination of pregnancy are being performed all over here. Like 1 year, if you consider all over the world, you'll be like seeing around 45 to 50 millions of people that are undergoing this medical termination of pregnancy. Okay. So whether to accept this to be legally or it should not be accepted. So that becomes a very, a kind of debate in many countries, because there are many reasons why people are preferring to get abortions. One thing is obviously it is gender discrimination, and another thing is they do it unknowingly. They undergo the sexual activities and all, the couples itself, without having a proper family plan. So that time also what happens is they will undergo this abortion. So this has led to a debate whether it should be accepted, whether it should be legalized or not. Okay. So because it has its own emotions, ethical, religion, social issues which have been involved in the specific term, right? And based on that, the government of India, it has taken some initiation. So that is MTP 1971. If questions could be asked based on this general aspects also. That means we get to know that people are getting abortion has become common among the people. So to avoid this, to bring up or to keep up some restrictions, okay, a kind of restrictive condition, so a legal act was been introduced in 1971. So where there were certain rules, conditions were being necessary, or if a person like a couple or anybody, if they are planning to get abortion, or they are planning to get this MTP, then there were certain condition where a mother could undergo this MTP. So such restrictions are all the more important to check whether why they were very important means why the restriction is very important with respect to the NTP. Yes, because to check the, whether there is any gender discrimination is happening or not, whether, family is illegally trying to kill the female baby or not. Because in India, this illegally female kill, that is, if a baby is a girl, like a female, right? So illegally killing that baby was normal in India. So that means the report of that was chances of those reports were very high and common in India. So just to bring up that, that means just to stop those things also. So this bringing up a strict regulations and conditions were very necessary for the MTP. Clear. So now we got to know this. What exactly is the medical termination of pregnancy? So, yes, to get rid of unwanted pregnancy, either due to the, casual, unprotected intercourse or sexual intercourse, or due to the failure of some contraceptives. Okay. In the last class, when I was discussing regarding the different types of contraceptives, right? So, if a couple has, or anybody who has gone through a natural contraceptive methods and they failed, or else even if they have taken some condoms, they have been used some condoms and all, and even they got wrapped up during the intercourse also, what happens? Unwanted pregnancy occurs. This is second point. Third point is due to rape cases, as the third point. So at these three conditions, we can actually, a couple can undergo, or a mother or a girl, like a female, can undergo this MTP. So our NTPs are also essential in certain cases where continuation of the pregnancy could be harmful. That means if a mother is pregnant and continuation of that pregnancy, that means if a mother let the baby to develop, right? So that could harm the life of a mother. That means chances of the mother death is more. So in that condition also, like if the baby is harmful to the mother inside the womb, so even that condition also the MTP is preferred. Okay. Or else in such conditions where NTP, like if you leave a baby to develop in the womb itself, it is both harmful to the infant as well as the mother. So even that condition also the NTP has been suggested. And coming to the NTPs, when NTP is been done, so when it is like said to be, or when it is suggested, the safer. So in the first trimester period, NTP is suggested to be safer. So if like a mother or a female is, planning to go with this NTP, then the first trimester of her initial, the baby development is said to be the good and safer. That is first trimester means, you remember in the in the reproduction chapter, right? First trimester means up to 12 weeks of pregnancy is said to be the first trimester, right? And second trimester, if they undergo abortion, that is, if a mother undergoes abortion, it becomes risky to mother's life also. And in future, if so, that risk is not happened, but in future, mother might get many issues, health issues. And one of the major disturbing trends that was been observed in the majority of the NTPR. So NTPs were actually performed illegally. As I told you, you are completely, you are voluntarily, or you are just trying to terminate unwanted baby. So what happened is that has somehow created a trend of illegally, okay, killing the mother as well as the baby, basically baby. So sometimes, mother is not ready, but because of family pressure, circumstance and all, so she was forced to get abortion, and that could also lead to her mental health issues also. And even while performing the NTP, so the performance should also have a very qualitative performance. I mean, pregnancy, when a lady is pregnant, right? So when they are undergoing abortion, so it should be in a very proper way. So that is also very important. So another trend was like, another dangerous trend is actually like as I discussed you before itself, that is amniocentesis. So this was something which was misused by many of the people, right? So that is by using this technique, they were able to determine the sex of unborn children. But why this technique was actually used? To detect some genetic disorder, right? So, but instead of that, they started determining the sex of unborn child. And once they were found, frequently, if they were found that it to be the child to be a female, so yeah, immediately it was being followed by the MTP, that is, which is actually totally against the law and it is illegal, right? So, such practices, it should be avoided. Like, such practices should never be encouraged because they are very dangerous both for the mother as well as the infant, that is, the baby, fetus. So what happens is during that time, an effective counseling are being needed to avoid an unprotected coitus, that is unprotected sex, and risk factors involving illegal abortions also, as well as providing more health care facilities could reverse the mentioned unhealth trend. So these are the basic things that one should keep that mind. So this was all about what? Medical termination of pregnancy. There is something very important I'll be discussing in the end of the class. So yes, stay till there, okay? So our next topic is sexual transmission disease or sexual transmitted disease. So STI. Basically, why I'm talking about sexual transmitted diseases, okay? So there are many sexual transmitted diseases and they causes a very serious diseases to the not only for humans, there are even some common in animals also, but here we will not go in structure with their what do you say that their structure, their functions, how they reproduce and all. For that we have some other chapter which I'll be discussing later, but for now, how this unhealthy sexual intercourse could lead to these diseases, such kind of diseases, so that thing we will be discussing. Cool. So one thing is when I'm talking about the yeah, sexually transmitted diseases or infections. So the infections or diseases which are transmitted through the word itself says, right, through sexual intercourse. So they are collectively called as sexually transmitted infections. That is nothing but STI. Or even it is called as venereal diseases, which is nothing but VD, or even it is called as RTI, that is reproductive tract infections. Okay, so we got to know three names now. One is sexually transmitted infections, sexually transmitted infections, venereal diseases VD, then reproductive tract infections, right? So some of the diseases are also being mentioned here. Gonorrhea, syphilis, genital herpes, plasmodiasis, genital warts, then trichomoniasis, hepatitis B, and still many diseases are there. Okay. And in all these things, the most dangerous infection that recent years that we have been facing is HIV, which leads to the AIDS. Okay. And this is the most common sexually transmitted diseases or infection. So HIV infection is actually the most dangerous one because some of the sexual transmitted diseases, you might have some remedies, some medical, kind of treatment. But for HIV, still the treatment is ongoing and no proper treatment is being still discovered. Complete treatment is not discovered. So some of these infections like hepatitis B and HIV can also be transmitted. How they have been transmitted? They have been actually transmitted. I'm just trying to say you like So these are the diseases are fine, but how exactly the transmission is happening? Through the sharing or infectious needles. Like, see, in many clinical centers, if the needles has been used again and again, say like blood, while withdrawing the blood, or while injecting some vaccines or some, injections to a patient, and unknowingly, if a patient is having this HIV, so what happens? Obviously, if that needle is being used on some healthy person, the sharing of this infection will definitely happen. And even with the surgery, like surgery, during the surgery, the instruments that they use, right? So if they're not cleaned, if they're not disinfected, so what happen? Yeah, the person might get from this HIV or sexually transmitted infections. So even when there is a transfusion of blood, so if an infected blood is being transfused to an healthy person, again, from mother to the infant also this could happen. If a mother is having an HIV, so obviously the infant, during his or her initial development itself, it is going to have the infection from its mother. Then, except for the hepatitis B, okay, except for the hepatitis B, the genital herpes and HIV infection and other diseases are completely curable if they are being detected. Okay. So these are the three major diseases. Okay. These are the three major diseases. Other than these three diseases, other diseases can be completely curable if they are being detected in the very early age. Okay. And if a proper treatment is being taken care. And what are the early symptoms in which we can know, okay, a person is not okay? I guess he's having some health issues and all. With or you can even, you know, guess a kind of guess that okay, he might have some, HIV or sexually transmitted infections. How? Some of the early symptoms are minor or include itchings, then fluid discharge, slightly plain, swellings, etc. Where? In the genital region. Okay, in the genital region. And infected females may often be symptomatic and hence may remain symptomatic, means even though she has a symptom, but she remains undetected for a longer period of time. Female. So absence or less significant symptoms in the early stage of infection can be seen in the female. Okay. And detect the infect. One thing what we have to do is, first thing is we need to detect the infected person from going for timely detection, and proper treatment is very important. So if that didn't happen, right, it could lead to a complications later on, like which includes pelvic inflammatory diseases, PID. Note down these points if possible. Pelvic inflammatory diseases. Then abortions, obviously, and abnormal birth of a baby, and ectopic pregnancy. Then even it could also lead infertility in the mother or father, sometimes infertility, and even cancer in the reproductive tract also, right? And the sexual transmitted infections are major threat in the healthy society, because it will cause many such diseases in a healthy person. Like, first thing is it is going to destroy our immune system, and automatically we will be affected by many diseases. Therefore, early prevention is a better cure. Like, so early we have to prevent this, early detection is very important. So which is actually a cure for this disease. And a proper reproductive health care should also be taken. Okay. So through all persons, like everyone is vulnerable to this infections. Like any person can get this infection very easily. So for example, for certain diseases, yeah, if they get infected to an healthy person, because the healthy person will be having more immune system, so he won't get affected more, right? Some bacteria or some infections like that. But this is something vulnerable. Like this, if it gets transmitted to anybody, if it has been infected, right? Every person will be infected by this disease. So it is vulnerable. That's why what we need to do is so that indications are reported to be very high among people. And when exactly these like in a general survey, when at what age gap it is been seen that this infection is very high between the age group of 15 to 24 years. Now I can say even more, like 15 to 24 years is being given in the textbook, but age group is more because this is the year value. Like we don't know, we are not having a proper healthcare, proper knowledge about sexual activities, right? So because of this half knowledge or improper clarity, what happens is we commit mistakes. Like generally people commit mistakes, or youngsters commit mistakes. So, this was all regarding a basic infrastructure, a basic concept of sexually transmitted infections. Just a minute. Yes. So, based on this, let us also try to solve some PYQs. Uh, yes. The first question is like considering the following statement, like in India, A, family planning program was initiated in 1982. B. Reproductive and Child Health Care (RCH) program is an improved version of family planning program. So out of these two things, we have to select the following statement. See, first option was on in India, the family planning program was actually initiated in 1982. So this is first statement. Second statement is Reproductive and Child Health Care (RCH) program in India, improved versions of family planning program. So first thing is we need to understand whether these two statement is true or not. So first statement is wrong because it was not initiated in 1982. And the second statement is right because that was an improved version of the family planning program. So let us see the option A, B, C, and D. What is the right option then? Yes, option C is right. That is, the statement is wrong and the statement is right. I'll go to the next question then. During which period of typical menstrual cycle of 28 days, coitus should be avoided to prevent contraception naturally? That means a kind of sexual activities should be avoided in order to avoid the pregnancy, unwanted pregnancy. So during the natural way of pregnancy, I have explained you, right? So in the natural way of contraceptions, so yeah, during the menstrual cycle of this 28 days, in which days we should avoid the sexual intercourse? That is the question basically. Option B or C? D. Option C. Yeah, let us see. Cool. Option C is the correct answer. Yes. So thank you. This is all about the MTP as well as sexually transmitted infections. And regarding this particular topic, if you feel any doubt, just comment in the comment section. And yes, try to solve more and more number of PYQs, because if you keep on solving PYQs, that will boost you some confidence. So if you want more and more number of PYQs, right? If you are a MemoNet subscribers, you'll definitely get more and more number of PYQs in our MemoNet app, and especially in the Elite plan. You know that for biology there are More than 15,000 PYQs are there in the app. Not only that, you can also prefer the NTA PYQ book also. Thank you.